Okay, now let's talk a little bit about booleans. So booleans, as I mentioned before, they are simple true and false values. Those are the only two values that a boolean variable can have. So in a way, it's kind of the simplest data type, and often booleans are used in conditional statements, which we'll talk about next. But this if then or if else statement, known as a conditional. So if something is true, then go ahead and perform that operation. Otherwise, do something else. So where it gets a little confusing sometimes for people is when you use these operators here, where things like and or. What I built out here is an example of how these things evaluate in programming languages. So when you use and, both sides of the equation have to evaluate to true in order to be true. So that logically that makes sense. But sometimes when you chain these together, it could get kind of confusing. But this is a very simple example of using and or with the various values. So true and true should evaluate to true, and it does. So true, good, that worked. True or true, again, should evaluate to true, and it does. And so or, in this instance, either the first value or the second can be true, and it will always evaluate to true then. True and false, this should be false. Okay. True or false, this should be true. Yep, and true. False and false, that will be false. And then false or false, that will also be false. So again, this is pretty logical, pretty straightforward. Again, you'll find all of this in the logic section, and how this particular demo is programmed is it's checking for which one of these is checked, which is basically, I have a bunch of check boxes here, true and true, true or true, and depending on which one is checked, then I am evaluating that using the logic operators here. So true and true, we'll have true and true here, true or true, true and false, so on and so forth. All right, so next we will talk about conditionals.